Squiggles. The Magic of Red Squiggles, Menashe Katz.
Science fiction author Arthur C. Clarke formulated a few laws about science, technology, and the world. The third law is any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. This is true in many fields. If you went back 150 years ago and showed someone an airplane or a computer or a cell phone or so many other modern inventions, they would be perceived as magic. But today I'm going to talk to you about a true modern day technological marvel, the magic of red squiggles. Good evening, Chemmill Toastmasters. The history of modern community is in many ways just the latest step in the evolution of writing technology. From the first scratches of stone on wood, to the first ink on papyrus and parchment, to the printing press, the typewriter, and the computer, humans have worked for thousands of years to make it easier and more effective to write down words, whether for our own use or to be shared with others. It's been a very long process. I once read an entire book about the history of pencils. It had its points, but I think it would be a bit too much for most people. But while the methods have improved, most notably with the printing press, which allowed many copies to be easily produced from one master document, and the computer, which allowed editing of documents without starting from scratch and without wasting paper, and which allows instant transmission of documents around the world, one thing has remained constant. Humans have a propensity for spelling errors. If anything, the printing press allowed a single error to be reproduced thousands of times, and computers allow producing errors at light speed. After all, to err is human. To really foul things up requires a computer. Computers have certainly helped. As early as the 1970s, authors, editors, and proofreaders could collaborate by sending floppy disks through the mail for editing and proofreading. Next came modems and fast transfer of files, and now Google Docs. We have truly instant collaborative editing of documents. Yet I would argue that nothing has had the truly magical impact of the red squiggles. You're all familiar with the red squiggles. They appear magically beneath a word that's misspelled, whether it's Word or WordPerfect, Firefox, Chrome, many other programs. But if you grew up with red squiggles, you may not be familiar with the way things used to work. When I started in the computer business back in the 1980s, most executives, upper-level managers, doctors, lawyers, and so on, did not write their own documents. They relied on secretaries or administrative assistants. Those secretaries were the ones who typed, whether on typewriters or computers, and they were the ones who needed to have top-notch spelling and grammatical skills because it reflected on their bosses who never touched a computer except maybe for a "we're high-tech" picture. Even when a computer on every desk became the norm, many of those same executives would write drafts and send them to secretaries to produce the final, readable, correctly spelled output. But over the course of the 1980s and 90s, things changed. Why? Email is probably one of the key reasons. Email has replaced phone calls, handwritten interoffice memos, and many other forms of communication. But effective use of email requires doing it yourself. Everyone uses a computer now, from the bottom of the company to the top. You can't run every email through someone else. There is no more, Alice, take a message for me and send it to Bob. You write it yourself and send it to Bob right away, which is where the red squiggles truly become magical. Different people have different abilities. Some are great with spoken language. They speak 10 languages as fluently as the rest of us speak one. Some are great with written language. Their spelling, punctuation, and word usage are beyond reproach. Some are great with math. They perform 10 calculations in their head, while the rest of us use calculators to do just one. Some are creative. They can write stories that inspire us all, or make us laugh or cry. But some are good. None of us are good at everything. And especially, an awful lot of us need help spelling. The red squiggles make it effortless. truly magical. Around 30 years ago, I wrote software that included a spell checker, but it wasn't like the red squiggles. The difference with the red squiggles is that it's truly automatic. You don't have to do a thing. It just happens. It just magically appears. Effective shows you exactly where your problems are. Non-intrusive, you can ignore the red squiggles and go back to it a page or a paragraph or an entire document at a time. And they're non-judgmental. You send something to a proofreader or an editor and comes back with 100 changes. It's embarrassing. The red squiggles, you do it yourself. They are indeed, for those of us who never programmed a spell checker before, and to some extent, even for those of us who have, an advanced technology that is truly indistinguishable from magic. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.